Hi everyone! So today I am sitting on this angle because this is the best lighting, and honestly this is kind of really good lighting. But today I'm going to be talking about Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I finished this about a couple days ago and I've had some time to talk it over with my friend who I was reading it with and to really think things through. And my Goodreads rating is actually a 5, but I'm going to actually lower that down to like a 4.5. The book was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend that everybody read it. But there is a but. But it could have been so much more. The book really felt like a short story that was elongated into a novel that had this cop out of an ending that I'm not really going to talk about until closer to the end. So I'll let you know when I go to talk about anything spoilery. But I want to talk about the good things about it and why you should read it. This book is about a girl who has this disease called SCID. I'm not exactly sure what the the anagram actually means, but it's called SCID, and basically she's just allergic to everything. She can get really ill really easily. So basically she's been living this whole life inside of her house with her mother, who's a doctor, and her nurse, because her father and brother are not in the picture. You find out what happens in the book, but I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to give anything away. So she's been trapped inside her house for her whole life. I don't even remember how old she is. I'm thinking high school, but it could be not. I'm not entirely sure. She has never attended school. She's always been tutored online over Skype with some rare visits from a tutor, but they don't happen very often. And then one day, this new family moves next door, and they have a boy who happens to be around her age and is very cute. So he intrigues her, and they happen to have bedrooms that are next to each other, so they kind of pull a Taylor Swift "You Belong With Me" type deal, where they're like messaging through the windows, and then they exchange emails and they start IMing, and then things just start to flow from there. So you have a bit of a romance, you got a bit of health issues, you got some family dynamics going on between him and her mother and everything that happens. But yeah, it's a really good story and it's really thought out, but it could have been better if it was done in a different point of view. If it had been done in third person point of view, where we were able to get a more in-depth look into Ollie's life. Ollie is the guy next door. If we got a more in-depth look into his life and we got an external look onto her life, I think the book would have been so much better, because there were some dynamics in Ollie's life that weren't really looked into. They were just kind of like brushed off on the surface, and it would have been nice to like know more about his life and what's going on with him. And then there's her life, and looking at it from her eyes was a great idea, but I think we would have been able to see more of what's going on if it had been third person. So that's really it for the non-spoilery bits. I'm really trying hard not to go too much into this so I don't spoil you guys. But I think I'm gonna dive in a bit more now. So if you haven't read the book, I suggest that you kind of stop the video now and then check it out another time when you've read the book. Or if you decide that you're probably never going to read the book, you don't care about being spoiled, then you can continue on watching the video. But now I'm going to get into the spoiler bits. So, her father and brother are dead. We find out that they died in a car accident when she was very young, and they're not in her life. And we know that Ollie has a alcoholic father who also abuses him, his mother, and his sister. It's really unfortunate that that whole storyline with Ollie wasn't really looked into much more than just the surface, that all we know is that he had some job issues and he started drinking, and he hit Ollie's mother once, and she kept kind of forgiving him and believing him when he says, "Oh, I won't do it again." And by the end of the novel, she finally realizes that she needs to move away. So by the end of the novel, the mother and Ollie and Kara, who is his sister, end up moving out of the house and leaving his father behind by himself. So that was really cool, but I think it would have been nicer if we got more of an in-depth view into that part of the storyline, because it was kind of just like surface level of getting into it, and she kind of just dealt with it. It was something that she brought into the story and didn't really want to do more with it, which is really unfortunate because it could have really added to the story, especially with everything that happens with Maddie, who we find out actually doesn't have SCID because she goes to Hawaii and ends up getting sick, but the doctor informs her that it's not because of SCID, and it turns out that her mother's been lying to her whole life, and that her mother is actually the one that's mentally ill. Honestly, I believe this is kind of a cop-out of an ending. It's almost like she had a different ending in mind, maybe, and she didn't like it, or the publishers didn't like it, so they decided to change it up, and she did this ending where Mrs. actually wasn't sick. And it's really unfortunate because it doesn't play out in the book. Like with We Are Liars, when you look back, you can kind of see like, oh, okay, so this is what's happening. You could tell what was going on for the ending. But with this, it's kind of like at the end, she just decided to make her not sick. And there was no clues as to everything that was actually going on. The only really clue that was when Clara, or Carla, I can't remember her name, her nurse gets fired all of a sudden because she let Ollie in the house. And I think she also got fired because she threatened to tell Maddie about her suspicions. So her mother decided to just fire her because when she came back after she got sick in Hawaii, which her mother and Maddie decided was proof for her illness, Clara, or Carla, whatever her name is, the nurse, was rehired back. So it's interesting to look at that and see how it's affected. But I think if we had had a different point of view, we probably would have been able to see the possibility of her not actually having the illness. And it's really unfortunate because it just kind of seems like she just added it in at the end. Honestly, I thought that it was going to end much like Flowers for Algernon did. Because Flowers for Algernon was such an important part of the book, I expected it to end where Maddie and Ollie just separated and nothing came of their relationship anymore, and she was just sick in the house and everything went back to the way it was before, which would have been really sad. It would have. So I'm thinking maybe that's what she originally wanted, and maybe the publishers didn't like that ending and wanted her to change it up, so she decided to put this ending in, and it worked, but at the same time it didn't. It's kind of hard to explain. I really hope I'm doing a good job. I really haven't done a review like this before in a long time. Let me know down below if you've read this book and what your thoughts are. Try not to too many spoilers down there. But if you want to have a chat, feel free to mention me on Twitter and we can talk over there. I will see you next time. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. I've been doing these like videos every day and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really getting back into it, and I like the freedom that I'm not really doing these edits anymore, and that I don't feel the pressure of making a really good video. Like, I'm not even using my camera, I'm just using my laptop, and it's been really nice. I'm really getting back into the groove of things. So I will see you next time. Hopefully my review is good. I'm really sorry. I usually write these things out, but I really wanted to talk about this one because of the impact that the book had on me, because I really did enjoy it. I just felt that there was a lot of missed opportunities. All right, see you next time. Bye.